Ik aya yoch sa tinil te kat Johan, gul chish, wujin chasati. Santa Fe, ye chat yatia, yedat, ya, ach aya, a data way you gachitla art. Dat yach sa way gwalwe shkun yi, dech a yuch a tank, nask a, eka, kutzati. Hasta ai, English, ka Spanish, ka hin, ka nach kayash. Ye awa. Gwall agun ach tu asagu yidu asagu atcha. Gwall shkun ai agach tu tla yech. Gwall ashua a. Klingit chinach ashua a. Tlekag chinach. Ha agun kutzati. Agun. Chudecha yuch atangi hatu asagu. Ha yetki hasawa sku. Eka hatu asagu hasawa shkugu. Aka awe. Yewe yagach tu lak. Gwall ha ani kuk. Ka Hawaii language medium school. You do a sago. Just like ayuch atanga tu nach the cut that. Just the cut that has to has outlet too. Has to yetki. Ya ohan kwa gwalla to asagu dech a kutzati helkadein hosaka. Gwall ha to asagu zait yacheti ko a daikach inach the cut wishgun klingit ko a datki idel too. Aya gwall click a kinna. Gwall Judechi yuch atangitin, wan ganins lechak wan ganins linkit chinach, a goon kutzati, gwall a kinna just linkit chinach, a god lechak chinach has to eager to linkit chinach. Gulchish. I'm here in Santa Fe. We're talking about dual language schools, which I do believe we're going to try to grow one. The plan right now is to collaborate. All these organizations are really playing. There's like the dream team finally assembles, right? And so you've got these powerful entities doing amazing stuff, and they're working together very well right now. So we're hoping we can collaborate and get a couple of major things accomplished, which would be a singular publishing house. And so there's going to be a whole bunch of new texts that are coming out in Tlingit that are graduated texts, and we'll take a look at one next week for the Super Smash, which has been pushed back a week because, well, Ida's right in that room teaching beginning Tlingit. So, but I think what we'll do is we'll look at talk through these three iterations that get bigger and bigger. And then there's the fourth one, which is the full version from the speaker. And I think we can do this in a good way so that we're honoring these stories, we're respecting them, but we're really like, so if talk was, let's say 150 lines, I don't know what the exact line count is, then the advanced version for a course like this would be 100 lines. And then the intermediate version would be 50 lines that are simplified. So they are simplified quite a bit. Then the beginning version would be 20 lines, and it would be very simple. So it would not be the complete story, but it would hit the major points of the story. And so those are some things that we're talking about while we're down here. It's exciting. And just before we hit record, we had a question about spelling, especially when you're going to say kinde and some kind of shot verb, right? And so to lift something up, I think is what we might be talking about. And I'll show you folks how that thing might change, and then we'll look at what, or Kasank, do you have what Tlingit and Haida did?
Just give me take a minute.
Okay.
Minute.
No worries. Okay, so we're looking, so if we look in here, like the other day we were looking at scary stuff. So let's get away from that. We gotta close that. It's too scary. So we'll drift up to shot. It's a real gotcha verb. Okay. So we go up here, and I've been doing a lot with ton verbs lately, so. Okay. So here we've got shot, right? And we got a few different things here, right? There's like changing your mind. There is a version of this, oh, I see it in the chat, where you see changing your mind, but you can also have a very similar one. The key wooch shot where you can have like a sudden realization. And then I suddenly realized, right? Or maybe it could be tuchtashat. I'll have to check it out. And then you do have for wind to move in gusts, and then you have your two most common ones, which is basically catching or grabbing, and then holding and capturing, holding something captive or holding on to it. So they are different, right? This one is really like all about like the grasp. This would be the hold on type of thing. So both of these don't have low versions. So you see shot, like this is the way this root works. This root does not go low, which means it was probably shut back in Tanta times. And so the other thing that's interesting is shot with the 0 classifier is ga, and it's an event verb. So that means there is no imperfective, and you are going to get for commands gashat and gaishat. And you just have to keep that in mind. If you're telling someone to catch it, you're going to say gashat, like catch a ball. But like in the stories, like when they're trying to grab that, to try and grab someone, that's going to be the other verb. It's going to be the L classifier. And then you do have, so this is a CH on the end. So this is just giving you, the prohibitive version is the repetitive imperfective, right? And then you get awashat, huashat, ishat, right? And so we have awashat. This is the one, if it was 0 classifier, we would probably see iyashat. But the others, naka and qa, will be yi. Iya, yi, right? That's one that does change. Negative perfective, the futures must have K in front of them, right? So I'm going to catch it. Kek kwashat. I won't catch it. Kek kwashat. Right? So one time I was at a baseball game in Minneapolis, and there were 3 of us. We all went. It was the only time a baseball ever got hit anywhere near me. And I was like, I sometimes used to bring a mitt and stuff. I really like baseball. My grandpa really liked baseball. And the ball was coming right at us, right? And it went way up high, and it was coming right down by our friend. And he must have been thinking, kek shot. And then at some point, he must have thought, kek shot, because we all fell over, because we're all watching. And then he like dove into us. And then when we sort of were all tangled up, we all looked at him. We're like, what the hell? He says, it was this big. So what I don't understand is why he didn't go the other way. Like he could have stepped that. But anyways, so then you can have hortatives. Like we're going to talk about all this stuff. How do you build? So this is some of the stuff we're going to start getting into now, today. And then you're going to have habituals. And just keeping in mind, the habitual translates to, I catch it every time, right? Every time a ball comes to me, I catch it every single time. But this one is when you put clash in front of it, and you do throw an irialis in there, then you get haven't caught it yet. Right? So the negative version of the habitual doesn't mean never catches it. It means hasn't caught it yet. Right? And then there's an advanced one you could build. Like, so this one, you say tesh gishat, but you could say gishat before they caught it. Right? So that's going back to the moment before something. This would be regularly. There could be a negative version of this, which would be, so you could say, they don't catch it. They just don't. It goes to them, they don't catch it. Okay. So then when we go to this one, which is the one we're going to use for holding people up. So there's a couple things. It must be qashat in the command form. But in the plural, it does go to qaisashat. And I'm trying to say anybody ever did anything wrong. Don't worry about that. So for most commands, 0s tend to be short and high. Janak. All the others are long and low. But This one has no low version, so it stays high. But why on the mesa would it go qashat and qaisha shat? It's got to be a reason.
Is it because the ga knocks the out of the tha?
Yes, the qa knocks the out of the tha. We gotta make some. That's gotta be a language T-shirt, right? So yes, if the qa touches a classifier that has the a in it, it'll knock it out. If it's contracted to the underlying x, it won't. So you have, and for all minus d classifiers, the command form for the second person never has a pronoun. Ganu, ganu, get down, wede nagu, cha, right? All of those. There's no pronoun there. But if it's plus d, you are going to have it, right? And so that's why you get gitahan as opposed to gatahan, right? So it does pop up in that one. I think I might have said that one. So because this one does have the second person plural pronoun, that provides the cushion that the needs. See this letter A, scared of everything. So it needs a protector. Qa, na, Irialis, the that single they'll knock that letter out every time if they touch it, right? So we'll copy these as commands, right? So we got a bunch here, ashat, right? And so then we have awshat or outlashat. So it should be tle if it's already happened. We're really going to get tle for the perfective and the potential. That's the only time we're going to get tle. Everything else, like if we look through this whole thing, sha, that's sha, but knocks it out. This is sha, but the knocks it out. Now we get tle, only place. This is sha, but the knocks it out. Well, actually, the perfective knocks it out. This is sha. This is sha, but the qa knocks it out. And then tle. Everything else, sha, knocked out, sha, knocked out. So you're really only going to get plus I in the positive perfective and in the potential. If it's a state verb, you get it in the imperfective as well. So now, let's take a look at some.
I have a question, Lance.
What's the good question?
On the one hand, you said you only get tle if it already happened. And then you went on to say that the potential attributive has it also. That doesn't make sense.
Because the only way I can sort of think of it is the potential usually say, okay, so if it does happen, then there's this other, like it's all about like, and I don't know why. Because so if we have a potential, like, so if we just grab this, tesh ade, let me change documents real quick. So if we grab this form, tesh ade aqaw teshadiyeh, right? So if we get rid of tesh ade and we get rid of this, then this goes back to that. Aqaw teshat. And so this on its own, and we don't use it on its own. Usually it's going to have gwash in front of it. And it says they might grab it. Okay, this is sort of like the most basic version, I think, that you can have of this verb mode. And it's just one of those, I think it just has a bunch of rules, and some of the rules do make sense, right? Like it's if it happened, got it. Okay, that's logical. And also if it's potentially going to happen. So there is something powerful about a potential in Tlingit to say, in order to envision it, we have to say it's already happened, which doesn't always line up logically. And some things don't. Like if you say it's always this way and you just throw klesh in front of it and it says hasn't happened yet, sometimes that doesn't make sense, right? Because you say like Ḳukahaa, I always eat it. Ket Ḳukahaa, I haven't eaten it yet.
Okay, can you also say right there, they can grab it?
I tried to do can with elders, like every time I do, like I can ride a bike, I can write my name, they would always just give me a positive future. That's all they ever gave me. And so there might be something to it. I'll ask, or maybe I'll send that one through some of the speakers. And I know some of you folks are working with Keishi, so maybe ask her to say they can grab it.
So Renee, she's given us things like jira, like I will be able to.
Yeah.
Like okay, I will be able to borrow money. Jira kwati dana kwahisi. So it's sort of almost like a can, but she translates it as I will be able to.
Yeah, and chiqa is a really interesting one because it really means like sufficient enough in your possession, right? So you could say, if you said like dana chiqayeti, I have enough money, right? Like if someone's worried about you or something, like you could say that, or you could say hastu chiqa has kuakiti, when they picked enough berries, they went home. And so, yeah, that's really interesting. Because yeah, like, and knowing how, because then you could also say they know how to do it, or they have mastered how to do that too. So
That's what Lagoon used to say was Oshaguk for I can, or he or she can. Depending on what it was, but
right.
if it is something that, yeah.
To go back to the LILA thing,
Mm-hmm.
in my mind, it was like based on the Ixachan verb. Generally, the positive is a I, and so is like it happened. But I understand there's event verbs, motion verbs, act verbs, state verbs. So
Yeah.
is Ixachan a state verb? Is Ixachan a state verb?
Yes.
Okay, so you either do love somebody or you don't love them.
Yeah, like you
it.
can't, because it has to become that way to become that way.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
And so that's what you end up with. And yeah, and for something like that, with an object and a subject, that's not the usual way a state verb works. Most state verbs are object onlys, right? And so here, so yeah, so we see sa, si, sa knocked out by sa knocked out by si. So so it's a state, so you should have it, and there should be one other place where you have it. Sa knocked out by the perfective marker. Sa. Gee, you don't love him every time, can't say that? He's shown. And then you could say, right? So you could say, Gwash a guchsechan. Maybe they're going to love them. And I don't know. It's like, Pliget does this quite a bit, though. It's like, I got this great rule for you. Makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, great. And like, oh, except that I got this other thing.
Well, can you say that, maybe a tiny bit more than half the time, the is going to be more of a positive, something that has already occurred, and the is going to be negative? Or is that?
Yeah, well, I would say 90% of the time. Because
okay, I can live with 90.
Because perfectives and imperfectives is how people talk. Like,
yeah, okay.
It's only like the master level speakers are the ones who even use this one. Like I know tons of speakers who probably maybe never use this tesh ade something, because it's complicated. And so, but maybe a long time ago, the whole sort of language had a higher level. Like I'm sure, because you had thousands of speakers, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Renee. Klech ade agluxikhane. Han is low there.
Yeah. So there is a thing that I don't fully understand. So this suffix right here is what we call the attributive suffix, right? So it follows all the rules of the relational suffix, but it always stays low. It works really well to throw on the state verbs to say like the one that is that way, like yak'e yiqa, a good person, right? Or you say shichan yiqa, a stinky person, right? So you could just throw that I on there, and all of a sudden you've turned it into an adjective. It also pops up with this. If you've got a day, you don't even have to have klesh. As long as you've got a day and yeah, if you have a day and yeah, if there's an I in the classifier, you will have this suffix. And there's something about this suffix and yeah that tends to flatten a high tone. So it's not like it's a low tone version. The Dauenhauers called it tone stealing. And it could be that it's still there, but it just, you end up saying, but I do think that flattening does happen. But I don't fully understand. That's that. Why am I teaching this class? I'm just kidding. But yeah, that's a good job. I'm glad you guys are looking for, like, we've been talking about all this stuff, so you're looking for all this stuff. So coming back to here. So now you've got qashat, qaishashat. So the one thing we can do, let me grab something real quick. Oh, it's cannot kill to cynic. Okay, never mind. Okay, so then if you want to say hakena, so this is one way, and then you can also say dikik. These are two ways that we have heard this thing be said. I'll show you the version from Qashatk. So Qashatk says it this way. So it's not the holding verb. He's using the carrying verb for a living thing, right? Then you have, what is the hakina part?
Above.
Yeah.
We're above.
Yeah, so it's kind of like this thing, right? Hakinya, right? So you end up with that, right? And so ki is out, and so we see diki, right? So kina, like kinak adi, is above, the above thing, right? So hakina is above us. So you can say diki, you can say hakina. And so he says keutu sanuk. And so you could also say diki, you could say rashat, right? And you can say hakina, gotcha, right? So that's just grabbing this right here. You could say, okay, we want plural versions of these. And then you grab this, change that, right? So now you've got it. And then we get the key wooch. So when we get this one, I was going to let me copy it from the chat. It might need an adjustment. And I think it needs two things. What do you all think it needs?
Took away the underline under the G.
So we got to restore that, right? And someone who's listening probably might not have heard it because, it's comma. One other thing needs to change.
Does it have to go plus D?
Gaishlashat.
Haishat. So this whoosh or whoosh directly in front of the verb should be triggering that plus D, right? So then, for example, if you took this, so here's the key qashat, right? And then somebody commanded that to you, and then you wanted to say, I held them up. This is metaphorical. I mean, it would work too for like literally, like if you just grab someone because you're all super strong and pick them way up. But what if you said, I did that? I did it.
Gekichte.
We'll just say dakik. We'll keep it dakik. We held them up in the air. What's the verb gonna do? I did it.
Ḥukahaa.
Hua. What's the classifier?
L.
Yeah, so tle.
Shot.
Dakik, shot, right? I held it up. I held them up. I did what you told me to do, right? So this is commanding multiple people. So now, if we wanted to say we held, because this is each other, right? That's what wooch is. That's why it goes to plus D, right? Because you say wooch ischan, love each other, or it should be wooch gaischan, yeah, wooch gaischan. Don't want to say it wrong. You guys won't love each other. Sean, wooch.
Shot.
Well, it's got to be we.
We. Okay.
And there's probably, because we, you're probably going to have wutu, because there's no verb, there's no vowel, sorry.
Shot.
It can't be shle.
Shot.
With tooth.
Can't be. It's got to be plus I now, because we did it. Congratulations, we did it.
Shot.
Got to go plus D.
Just shot. I know
That's
there's
not
a DZ in there somewhere.
With tootly shot.
Yeah, what? The key which with tutli shot. We held each other up. Okay, that's a great question. Gives lots of stuff to look at. Right? And there's a lot of moving pieces, right? This causes that, this causes that, this causes this, right? And so just by continuing to do exercises like this, we just keep seeing them in action, going back to these charts and stuff to see how they work. Thoughts or questions?
Renee, why is it the key instead of like K or something like that?
I guess because it's up high. It's like it's already a metaphor, and so it's like way up high. Like you could also say kinde, right?
Okay.
It kind of, and it depends what you're doing with your metaphor. Because once you enter into metaphor, like it's up to you how, you could really get hyperbolic with your metaphors if you want to. It's like when I hold people up there in the sky, bro.
Well, and if you were just saying, just hold it up a little higher, something more mundane, then you wouldn't be, you could just say K.
Yeah, yeah. Like if like you're putting up this painting, I was like, kinde khashan. Kinde. Then I would just say kinde.
So you're saying kinde's like up high, but not as way up high.
Yeah, it's just saying, so kinde is upwards.
Upwards, got it. Yeah. Okay.
And like K also.
Yeah. K is all, but K is, because K is also more commonly just built right into the verb or part of that verbal thing to say, like going upwards, right? Because kinde doesn't change it to g conjugation, right? But then there's a couple of options once you get emotion verbs. Okay, good stuff, Johan.
So if you were giving instructions about hanging a painting or something, so you could say kinde higher, then when you wanted satnach, shinach, is that all you'd have to say? Or do you have to add to those words?
Yeah, no, you can't. I mean, for tatnach and shinach, you could say day if you want to. You don't have to. Like, and you could say tatnach, the one on the left side of it, basically. Shinach, the right or the one, because you could say shinach yijin kejachatzak. Raise your right hand, right? Tatnach yiguk yiqich. I'll
Mhm.
pierce your left ears, or whatever you're saying, right? And so it can be talked about like the left one, the right one, and then if you're putting day, it's usually implying like it's going towards that one. But a lot of people would just get the context. Like we were driving around today, I was like, tatnach, wait, that's all I'd say. Left over there. Itcha, shinach, itcha, tatnach. It's how you drive here. If you're driving in Santa Fe, you just go left, right, left, right, left, right, and then you get somewhere. I don't know how it works.
Wasakuati, Santa Fe.
Kuak Audagan, nach. Has to inkach just kudas atina chatiti. Then I went around the corner and started shivering because
Yeah.
I was in an alley without sunshine. All my toughness went away.
Late aga, late
Like-
again,
Like,
late,
nach,
sha,
shashakik, like, clash dansa,
Ah.
kak.
Just already gone.
Cajun jinkat. Yeah, you get
Juzantiki
Kedushu jinkat. Yeah, or kuwat.
hinik late dakusitan.
Okay, ach, tuasagu. A katli, konahui, asagu, wait, late kach ashkutliati. Oh, that's a fun one. So I think we're doing this one, right? Let me go. I'm just gonna pull it. I'm not gonna switch the screen. So let's try like mess around with one more verb, and then we're gonna switch gears a little bit. Okay, it's not in here, so I'm just gonna have to write. Okay, so well, this would be, there is an object. It's almost always third person. Oops. It's not gone. It's fun. Okay. So here's fun. Here's your verb for fun, right? So looking at this, if this was, should I do the thing? Okay, let me do the thing. Where's my palettes? Okay. I think I like that, and this is, no. Strawberry. I don't think I got a dark enough red. Okay, there we go. And a mocha. There's my color scheme. Okay. So here's our verb. Oops. What am I doing? Nobody stop me? That's plum. Or grape. Sorry.
Of course.
The grape classifier. It's delicious. Okay, so we got everything. We got everything we need to use this verb in the most common ways. I'm not worried about habituals. I'm not worried about it can't be fun. Like you're not, just don't worry about it. You look it up, or if you think you're there, you can start to try them out. Okay. But it's fun. How do I say?
And settle into the night.
Kasigu. Kasagu.
So the parts, let's put the parts over here. So we're gonna have clash, right? And then we're gonna have and we gotta add something now. We gotta add.
Very else.
And then what comes next?
pacifier.
And I'll give you that, right? Okay. So there are going to be a couple of changes here, right? Let's talk about what these changes are going to look like. So I'm going to start using, there's only so many colors, we got so many parts. So this is different than color coding the theme. I'm sorry, I don't have the palettes. I don't have the palette for it. But red means it's going to go away. Orange I gotta use a lighter orange. Okay, so orange means it's gonna morph. By morphing, I mean it's gonna change its shape. It's not going away, but it's usually gonna combine with something. And so, oops, I forgot my apostrophe. So, the S is gonna go away. And when you got and it's the same thing you get with sa and ha and If you're not sure, like look at this. Okay, so I'd say you Tunk. Anybody know what that translates to? You Tunk.
That's the way I think it is.
Well, it's got
Oh.
right?
Oops.
Your talk.
They are talking, right? But what about they talked? Oops. And it's going to be very similar to this, right? So when you got ka and
Ihuatank.
when you got ka and nach, what do you end up with? Right? So we will see to a. This is just something that happens. It's okay. There's multiple places we're going to see that. So this would be you a watan. Oops. So once this is a rule here. If you have well not sorry, it only works for sa, ka, and ka. As far as I know. Sa, ka, ka. If you had a perfective or an irrealis, you're going to end up with say, a. Okay? So I know this isn't fun, but I just gave you all the pieces. Clash.
Kesagu?
Yes, but the is knocked out. So if you just knock out that you've got it.
Lesh Kesko.
Yeah.
Kesk. It's a little unusual, right? It's your brain is like, wait, no, I know all the. It's like, no, these things are just they're interacting and combining. This is what verbs do all the time. It's like this is how they are. But then once they start doing these things, they start affecting each other. And this is another one that does have an opposite. So there is a version that goes tesh, esh, g. And so it changes the classifier group, which means it is technically a different verb. Just like yak-e, kesh-uke, kesh-ushke. Kuake, kesh-kuke, kesh-kushke. Good, not good, bad. Shachet, kesh-ushchet, kesh-ushchet. And that follows another similar pattern, jumping to the SH. So what do you think this is? Better not say it about this evening. I'll end this Zoom call right now. I'm just kidding. I didn't get very much sleep yesterday. I took a couple naps. But what's the opposite of fun?
It's boring.
Oh, this is my
Boring.
kids 5 minutes after you take their screen away. 30 seconds. I'm boring. Okay. So, next level.
Hey, Lance, on they are talking, you Kayatunk.
Mm-hmm.
I thought ton was only a singular verb.
Yeah, that's a single they. It's not they all.
So that they singular.
Yeah, so you
He, she, it, they.
yeah would be. That's how we're just shifting from they is a singular third person and they all, so we don't have to write she, he, right? That's all. Okay.
Can I suggest something? I don't know if it would work, but it doesn't make any sense in Tlingit, but it would make sense if we learned it this way. Instead of just putting the parens around the S, just put the S there. Dace. are talking.
Oh, interesting. Sheesh. Okay, it will be fun. Gotta refer back to this. Gives you everything. All the fun is packed into this theme. It's like Mickey Mouse verb. I don't know. He probably owns fun by now. Talk to the mouse.
You have to say this is not feeling very fun.
What? What on
It's
earth?
probably good though.
The Zoom call is over. I don't even know what time it is. 8:16? What does that even mean? It's probably 6:16. Or 6:40. That'd be really messed up.
Gach sagu.
You're gonna have guch. Okay, you are gonna have guch. Guch is gonna be in there.
Kagach sagu.
Yes. And there's one more thing we have to add.
K.
Yeah or what, right? So once we see that ga, we say, oh, in the future, I gotta remember, right? It won't be fun.
Clef a guksagu, low tone.
Yeah or what, right? So with the future, the only thing that does change when you go from positive negative is you just drop it low. Everything else stays the same. That's the easiest. The future is actually the easiest one to do. It's longest in the prefix, and as long sometimes you get k and ye in front of it. What do you think, brilliant folks?
What's the word for boring?
Gesku.
Oops, clash cake aguch. But we're that's weird. It's like, why am I clash cake aguch shagu? It will be boring.
The shot. So can you just explain for me how you got from sagu to shagu?
So there's a set of verbs where you have positive, negative antonym. Yak a, klesh uke, klesh ushke. And so klesh ushke, so you've got good, not good, bad, or evil. So that means that changes it to, so if it is sha in that case, but you have knocking the letter a out of there, right? So if you're going to say they are, right? So if you're going to say, so we'll just use this one as an example, right? We can do the same thing, like a. We'll just say it could be they as well, right? It's good. It's bad. Or it's not good, sorry. Right, like think if you go to a restaurant, right? What's that here? Hi. Okay. That's different than Kesh Ushke. Kesh Ushke is send it back or leave. I don't know. It depends what your restaurant etiquette is. I don't know. This is a g verb, right? It's a state verb. So we're going to say ke kwak a. This k ends with a vowel, so it's pushing gukak a to kwak a. All right, we're going to look at that. So then you could say, you'd say, oh, kesh ke kwa ke. Right? So this is, it will be good. it will be bad. And we usually don't say the negative, the future form of this, because it's usually just like in the moment. They're weak, they're unlucky, they're bad, right? But if you were, you'd say klesh k, and now we have to change it because it's got to be sha, because it's not a plus D verb. It's just that knocking it out of there. Klesh ke guch shuk a, which is pretty wild, right? They will be bad, or it will. Say I gotta change this. It will not be good. So, but the thing is, like, it's usually only ever used in the imperfective. But I guess if we're telling a story and be like, they're hanging out with those, I don't know who they're hanging out with, but they're gonna end up being bad. They're gonna be bad.
Hus to Michael Jackson, Hune.
Hey, Jackson Cajun. Yeah, hang out with that. Who that movie producer was? Oh yeah, that guy who on that little island, Jeffrey, whatever. Ooh. They're gonna be bad. Evil, bad. Good. This is all good stuff. Okay. So now let's shift gears a little bit. Ask questions if you got them. And let's just start talking about how these verb prefixes work.
I got a little confused. If you back up, it was like they will be bad versus it will be bad.
Oops, I probably just
Okay.
was talking and typing at the same time. That should be it. Like any one of those could be they. It could be it or they. I was just choosing it, and I switch it because I was probably thinking of a narrative by that point.
I really support the dace, and the dape. It won't make sense in English, but it'll be so different. It'll be easier for people to catch. When you go they all, sometimes I get confused that you're saying all of them.
Every single one. Yeah.
Yeah.
They
and thepe with a P. Go
vape with a P?
Yeah. So you go
plural?
Yeah.
Oh, they's.
It won't make sense in English, but it'll actually be better because you'll get the English out of your mind. It'll be Lingish.
Well, they've shaking their head right now.
Well,
they've hushakaut linash. Okay. Good cheese. Now
I tend to
go ahead.
I tend to write it with a neutral name. So Cam does it, because Cam to me is a name that doesn't tell me if it's he or she.
Okay. Yeah, it is something I think we have to keep working out and keep, veil, but again, like you all, that does make sense. It's same with like the second person plural. It's not, because English does kind of weird things with those anyways, right? Okay. Good cheese.
Is there any midterm for this class?
Huh?
Really? Do you have to say that?
Yeah, okay.
Well, I got something really quick.
Itu I guess it go hasi ishkani. You want them to hate you? I was kidding.
Presentation Minecraft dot Singit Genach. Just English Genach. Khwasane Kles Singit Genach. Achterwasagu presentation Minecraft dot just Singit Genach.
What about for a final? You're anxious to do it? Is that the thing?
Oh, I think I can actually garner contract work if I get this out there and start getting a little steam going with it.
Oh, okay.
So extra credit.
Yeah. Yeah, because I thought for
How
a
about we
for a
get
mid-
credit for like participating with him?
Yeah, there you go. Are we all going in the world? Is that what you want us to do?
Mhm.
I can send my Yetki. I'll go. They always want me to play Minecraft. I've never tried it yet.
I haven't either.
But this is what I was thinking for the midterm. Nothing scary. We're just going to collaboratively go through a story and read it and then practice translating. That's what we're going to do. I got to decide which one. I think I know which one. Well, for some of the inland folks, they probably know all the answers already. We'll see.
Know the answers anyway.
It's true no matter what.
I admire them so much with all the opportunities they get and create to work on it and work together.
No. Okay.
See,
And all the time. I mean, decades of work. So goodness gee, Shuhan.
Okay. So here's our look at this color-coded stuff, starting to walk through every single category that's on the Tlingit verb components board game. And through this, we're going to talk about how contraction works. We're going to think about this. We're going to think about when these things encounter, which one has to go, what are the sort of rules that go with contraction, and then we'll start to see like these are things that once we see it, we're like, oh yeah, oh, now I see it all over the place, right? Okay. So to start with, here we go, right? So these are our selected colors for our components of our verb. These are the main things that we focus on: preverb, postverb, object, thematic, conjugation, subject, classifier, stem, suffix. So this is where, in this spot called the prefix, this is where most of the magic happens. Like if you can do prefix stuff, you can speak Tlingit. Like that's really what it comes down to. Like once you start like knowing what should go in there, what should start changing, how those will interact with each other, you've got it, right? You've got it. And so the whole idea for us over the course of the remainder of this year is to really get off of the books with all of this stuff and be like, now I'm at this point of just ingesting verbs and new nouns and other parts of speech, right? Just, you're really gonna gobble it all up. Okay. So each of these has a color. And then when we go through, these are the ones identified on the board, right? So every board has this little category. It's a little bit longer, right? So you can put things in there. That was the idea. So put things in there to assemble different verbs, which we're going to start doing pretty soon. But for now, we're going to go through and identify every single thing in here, make sure we know what they are. And then we're going to look at what happens when they start interacting with each other. With the focus, our focus is always on perfectives and futures, right? Just because once you can do those, if you can do perfective, future, and imperfective, you can speak Tlingit, right? You might not be able to make big predictions or do like big level things, but you can certainly work your way up there. And we'll talk about that stuff too. So going through, we got the preverb. Here's all the things. We're going to go through all these things, make sure we all know what they are. So I'll show it, be just like the last slideshow. I'll show it to you. It'll be blank, and someone will tell me what it is. And if you're answering a lot, then maybe you just gotta, just for a second, give a split second and see if anybody else jumps in. But don't let us just whoosh walk talk to ya.
How
Don't
about
let us just stick.
Janae
What's that?
signals? Signals.
Oh, okay.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
Ah.
For what? Like, what is that? What are you saying when you do that?
Ha.
Oh.
So two.
Okay. Two. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Why? Why?
Why? Okay. So here's the preverbs. They're green. Come before the verb, and we will talk about what they do, right? Objects, blue, right? This is almost all of them. right? But these are the ones you really need to know. Ush is something we haven't spent a lot of time with. The SH, we haven't spent a whole lot of time with that either. The SH will push it plus D, as well the whoosh and the chush. Those will push the verb plus D. Okay. Here's our thematics. We have 4 spots, right? You could have 4 thematic prefixes. That would be very rare. I think shkekshkautanash, or I think that's shkekshkautanash. That has maybe 3. Okay. And we will go through what each of these are, right? They're pink. Conjugation is gray. We'll go through these, including what they're mostly used for. Subject is red. This is all of the subjects. There are no more than this. You can only have these ones. The third person is always unmarked. You never put anything there for the third person or the third person plural. This is the classifier. So again, 4 groups, 0, S, L, SH. I think their most natural forms are 0, sa, sha, sha. You can add the plus I form to say it has happened or it potentially will happen. Then you get ya, si, sh, sh. Some verbs are just plus D. Most of them can get pushed plus D. That's when doing it to the self, doing it to each other, and then it's going to push down to this plus D category right here. Okay. Most commonly, it's just going left to right. And most commonly, it's the one on the left. As far as just, if you look at the modes, almost all of them are the minus I form. The stem, there's a couple things that we might mark. Okay. So these top ones are saying, this is the stem variation. Open, fading, closed, closed high or glottal, and closed ejective, which these are actually the same. So the only thing you got to remember here is if it says fading, it will stay low in repetitive forms. That's the difference. If it's marked high, it will stay high all the time. That's the only thing. So even though we've got names for them and stuff, like really there's just 2 things here, right? If it's marked high, it won't go low. The other things that are marked in here is that ah goes to a and oo goes to way, right? Like Wayne or whatever. We were just doing that the other day, right? Then these ones with lower cases are just used to mark, if you need to say, okay, that's what the stem will be for this verb, right? So if you're going to say khoshe shant, then you're going to grab this one right here. It's closed and it's long and high. Or if you say tesh this one right here, right? Okay. Here's your suffixes. We'll probably won't get to those tonight, but we will get to them and what they do. These ones are pretty neat. I was looking at these ones a little bit. I also need to add ga on there. Okay. But ak means to remove and un means to restore. It's pretty wild because you could just put them onto, we'll look at them. Okay.
What's remove?
Ak. Just like remember, for all you fishers out there, is to remove the guts of a fish. Gets its own verb, only a fish. And then the post verb, right? Qanukin is a pretty wild one too, and qanik. And we'll look at these. Some of them are not very common, but I would say probably need to be brought back because they're probably falling out of use. Qanukin means when it happens, or consecutive, like when this thing happens and you'll do this other thing. Okay.
Is there an order for that? Like for those types of things, sometimes there's a specified order that works better than another order.
It's usually say like when you sit there, you're gonna shoot it. So it's usually whatever. It's kind of sequential.
Okay.
The first thing says is set first, and so then you're gonna have the verb, and then you're gonna have qunugin. But yeah, when I was first saying qunugin, I was like, used to sit there or something. Yeah, and then I realized what I was looking at. Okay, so here comes the walkthrough. Everybody ready? Everybody okay? We got any questions?
It would be kind of nice if we could print off the whole big thing and then write our notes on it. I know you're going to provide us, but I don't know if you have something you could just shoot us right now. We could send it to our printers and start making notes on it. Maybe not.
Well, okay, hold on.
Goodness, geez.
Mm-hmm.
Renee,
Uh-huh.
some of the preverbs are so light as to be illegible. Was that intended?
Yeah. Let me drop this. So here's the link to the full-size version of the graphic for the board game. And let me go back, okay? I don't remember why I probably had a reason. I'll tell you later. How's that? I think my initial plan was to say, let's just focus on these ones or something. I don't know what I'm doing.
So do you have rules to your board game?
Not yet.
Ah,
There'll be a handbook. And then basically my thinking is like, I would show you a verb and then you would put the components down there. Then I would show you what your board should look like.
what should they win?
Say, huh?
What should they win?
Kunst.
Potatoes? Okay.
Kunstlein.
That's plain.
Big potato. No, I don't know. Yeah, but let's figure it out.
Okay.
I'm game to figure out new games. Usually I'm good at developing some of the graphics, not necessarily the logic models.
This should be easy to do in Canvas.
Okay. All right. So here we go. This is our first set. And they're kind of in blocks a little bit, because you could say klech, klach, kunach, day. Right? Like some of them, I'm still trying to figure that stuff out, but more or less. You can have more than one preverb, right? But for now, let's focus on meaning. What does klech, hesh, or tish mean?
No, not.
Not.
Mhm.
What about klach?
Very.
Very. What about kunach?
Lots.
Not really lots.
Also kind of like very, though. I don't know how else to translate.
Really?
Really, because it also means real. It's a kunach sati. They're a real human being. Because if you needed to say dakasa yeshatana, dakasa kunachdana, which one is the counterfeit money? Which one's the real money? So, and you could have klach kunach, and then you have very really. And what about kudach or kutch?
Too much.
Too much. What about kut?
Back.
Lost.
Lost. What about de?
There.
Not really there. Well,
Towards there.
towards it, really. I just put towards. And then this does combine. And so some of these two, they'll combine and then they'll sort of like cancel each other's meaning out and just say, let's just do grammar stuff. It doesn't matter what we mean. We're just falling in love in grammar universe. Bonnet.
Starting.
Yen or yende?
Finish or towards the beach.
Yep. To completion. When is it yen and when is it yende?
Yende is future.
And progressive imperfective. Yende ya yanaitlak. Y'all are winning. Whatever this board game is, you're like winning. Wow. I should have like, I should just use that. What was that? The millionaire one. Welcome back to Who Wants to Conjugate a Verb? Okay.
Let's hear that song again. I want to hear that again.
Okay.
I know too.
Around,
Cook day back.
Returning or backwards?
turn,
It's most often returning. This will also push the verb plus D. I think it's something that is also sliding. I think we're losing that. So you should say, need to go. Come back, baby.
Reverse.
Need to go. Well, it would be come back, right? Is technically backwards. But this also works, right? So like us in the airport, people from different areas have different rules with this stuff. I find it with when you travel and there's lots of international folks. So I got a backpack and it's not very wide. It's like one of these kind of real thin backpacks. And this guy kept like bumping into it. And I just kept looking at him, trying to give him the look like my look was saying, Ḳukahaa, which Stevie Nicks, stand back. Right? So it could also mean backwards, right? Ḳukahaa means take a step back. Okay. So but should end up with plus T. Adewugu. They went there. With the gut. It's zero conjugation and plus D. They came back. I'll be back. Okay. So some of these have some notes. That's why it shifted a little bit. Dock. That's the way call.
Out to sea, away from the beach.
And? Yes, and?
Into the open.
Out into the open. I think maybe that's only two I put in there. Okay. What about dock?
Inlet.
And?
That one into the forest.
Well, yes. And?
Towards the self. I don't know, towards oneself, right?
Towards the body. Towards the body.
Yeah.
But we'll okay, I'll add those ones. We're just doing what's the opposite of out into the open?
To hiding.
Into the shadows.
Shadow.
But yeah, like say you saw like an animal in the open. Ha, dakuukut kukwaun. Akawe dakuukut. So that would be going into the woods, yeah. Or into the shadows, so these are total opposite concepts. And there's more, but we're just adding these two because they're not used very often for the others. Dock does mean onto fire, precipitation to fall, and to extend from the body. Dock is the opposite of all of those things. So when we're talking about like evaporation and water cycles, I was like, you gotta throw a dock in there somewhere, something going up into the, so then it goes dock and then dock. That's why we say dock wusatan. And wusatan is a zero, so just make sure we're keeping that one short and high. So ya, ke, and ye are put together because they are similar types of things. They do have meaning, but they also have just general grammar function, right? Which sometimes overrides the meaning. Like doesn't mean it's upwards. It's just part of it, like kekwake. It doesn't mean, well, maybe you could say, well, philosophically, better is in a higher state. You know, say something.
Can I say something about that?
Ah,
I think we shouldn't close off the idea that there might be something scientific to some of this stuff. Yeah, along it. The biologists believe that the trout are related to the salmon, and maybe the trout came first. Trout were landlocked in lakes, and glaciers pushed them slowly out into the ocean. And where you would find the beginning ones are along the edge of the river where the river meets the ocean.
for coastal Tlingit, chat means a salmon. And then it also means a fish. But for inland Tlingit, chat means a trout, but also a fish. So that's also wild. And then there's the salmon trout head. Okay.
Well, the only difference between well, I shouldn't say the only difference, but the major difference between a rainbow trout and a steelhead is the steelhead likes the salt water more.
Okay. Sheesh. Okay. So ya is along. And it's a lot of times it's just part of the progressive imperfective. Ya na, right? Yande, ya, yanai tlak. You all are succeeding. You're on the verge of success. What about K?
Upwards.
Right. And it is in ga, progressive imperfective, when you're going to have that na in there. K nakain, it's getting better. K naltsin, it's getting stronger. K nalchan, it's getting stinky. Oh yeah, kokani. Okay. I think there's a Tlingit word for those. I'll look it up later. Yay.
Downwards.
Right. And that's in ga, right? So though K and Yay are married to ga and ga, right? And they come around in the future in the progressive. What about you?
Back and forth.
To and fro, right? And so this pops up in the na repetitive imperfective. You kayatunk. You kanik. Then these other two are certainly a match set too. You and ye, both high tone.
The U is going away.
Well, there is this you day. It's a different you. So, but yes was a different you. For example, you do a sock. Ye do a sock.
Is it like repetitive?
Not quite repetitive. Because you could say ye yawaka, and you could also say you yawaka.
Oh, so thus or that way?
They both mean thus. But the difference here is you say chane you do a sock. So if you comes like right after the thing that the verb is talking about, or if you go name verb, you're going to use you. But if you separate that, then you're going to get ye. Ajoy yechat do a sock chane. Chane yuchat do a sock. Another thing I think that's subject to getting lost. But basically, especially if this works for the name one a lot. But I think for yeyawaka, right? Ichi yeyawaka. Or that should be, sorry, yu yawaka. Ichi yu yawaka. Akawe yeyawaka. Ichi. So if the thing that's being kind of quoted comes right before the verb, then you have you. If it gets separated, then you have ye.
There's a really nice example of that in the first couple lines of Ţaksha by Shadak, when he says his name and then his boat's name.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
ye do a yechat do a sock. Sha dog, or or he says someone else, right? That's when he's talking about that person who called him over, right?
No, he's saying his name and then
Ah.
he says the name of his boat. Guide.
Okay.
This is his boat.
Oh, yeah, okay. Guide, you do sagen.
Ah,
Sheesh.
ah.
Okay. But wait. There's more. Last ones. Chush.
The self.
To the south, right? This will push the verb plus D. I guess I should note that. Like right here.
Together.
Okay. Whoosh. Well, whoosh in or whoosh tin would be together.
Oh.
But whoosh and whoosh on their own are a little different.
Hmm.
Each other. Each other.
To each other, right? And this one will also be plus D. So not whoosh in, but whoosh, right? Because now we're verbing each other. Hus. Which I guess maybe I should add. Should I go like this?
The plural marker.
Yeah. So this is a plural marker, usually for humans, but not always. I hear it in other ways. And it can pluralize the object, the subject, or both. Dakh or daqa.
From.
There is a dakh that's from, but this one would be right before the verb on its own. So I could say yedaqati.
It's distributive.
Yes. So I think this does two different things. It's a non-human pluralizer, or it's distributive. To say like, they walked, but in like different directions. The sea lions jumped in the water and scattered. That's how it. So I think it kind of works in my brain.
Distributive.
Mm-hmm.
Just missing a letter.
Yeah.
Oh, sheesh. I was like, yeah.
Yeshtuchsa, you had an example of that when you're talking about the cabins were along the lake, right? What was that?
Dagati.
Yeah.
Yedaqati.
Yeah, yeah, dagati.
And you'll hear
uses,
them use it. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
okay, she uses it a lot. Ye dagati.
Yeah, like if you're talking about animals or something, you'd say tuch yach daqati. They are black. Wait, tuch gach. Okay, Johan.
But wait, go back to that last example. So if it's distributed and you say guj dagati, that are you saying each one of them? I mean, I'm trying to figure out the distributive. Is that
I think it's most commonly used as just a non-human plural. So like the houses were there, the dogs were there. If your dog's a person, for you, that's fine. The rabbits were over there, right? But it is used sometimes for distributive, which means they all did a thing, but they did it in like different directions, like a con. Oh yeah. But now I got to use a motion verb, right? Dachas kauduot. Kaudu inch, right? So they jumped off of the rock, but they all went and like they kind of scattered when they did it. But most commonly, I would say, just use it for a non-human plural. That's your best bet for learning this one.
Thank you.
Do you want to hear one of Keishi's sentences that? So she's talking about cabins that were well stocked with everything anybody would need along the Taku River. And so she's talking about along there, and she said, "Wush nachtihi," those are cabins. Aye dagati. Dasa aiti nachasugati. that had everything that they would need. Aye, dagati. So they're distributed
Okay.
along. Yeah.
And yeah, right. So it could also mean like they were there, but not like they were in different spots, but they were there. Like, so that's how it could also be distributive. That's great. Sheesh.
There's another one of her examples in the chat there.
Adakha adnas kunyach dakati kuchay dakatin. At dachuhi hushtat dak kamle kamle. Oh, nice. Wow, that's amazing.
Mhm.
Would you use that verb when you're talking about distributing the fruit at a koich?
There's a specific verb for that, which is na. It's the na verb ending,
Okay.
but it's not the dying one. It's a different one. Which, let's see if I can find it. There it is. Oh, I guess it's ga. Sorry. Dana a kaushaka. Atcha kik kwashaka. It just revealed something. Yautza anach yautza ah. It poked its face right through it. What did? What do we know about that now? I'm in a different time zone. I'll wait all night.
The future has K, so we know something about the conjugation.
100%. And what do we know? Which one has K?
It's a ga conjugation.
It's a ga. So now we should be able to say ga. Distribute it. Ka ga sha ga. And then so it's also proven because the perfective is long and low. Na ga ga open, long low. 0 long high. That's the rule. Future K for ga. That's the rule. So as you look at these, like, and so this is the thing, like you don't need every verb documented for you. Like once you see that tell, not like you can tell everything, right? So if we look at this one, short and high, that's a 0. Short and high, that's a 0. Short and high, that's a 0, right? Boom, boom, boom. But those ones are also motion verbs, but you could be diving towards something. That's fine. Dizzy, that's not a perfective. What is that?
Should be a state.
Progressive imperfective. Oh, it's becoming that way.
There's no na.
Oh, yeah. Oh, it's a repetitive.
Yeah, repetitive imperfective. And then, well, we can see this one. Yochsene. So that tells you it's not a 0. Right? Okay, let's go back to the other thing. We're almost done. So now we've done all of the preverbs. Do you guys want to call it a night? Or do you want to go for thematics?
What time is it?
It's only 9 o'clock. We're just getting started. Bring out the fourth meal.
This is so good. I think we should take it at a measured pace because it's going to be so essential for all of our future stuff. Buying that?
Does that mean you're done?
My brain is getting pretty darn full.
Hasya kautanash.
Kudach.
They shook their heads no.
Yeah.
Hot seti.
Gonna cheese shuhan. Łukahaa yijne. Tlachkonachawe yakuizage. Kaka kwatil te katyohan. Paneawe. Kagachtichak yahayu katangi yijig. Achawe hasau saku. Wasai litsini. Ye awa Lingitun the Tani. Klekegach the Zig. Kletlin a say I Konachawe. Klitzi Dane, Kone Wuchin Yukakachitla art. Gatlingit Enach. Achkiwe aya. Gedane ye has she would nay. Tel has to twa oshko away hachi nachawe kautlitski say how you gatangi. Ye two dache gakwati ya hadachankian has a gursaku. That yaksa aya has to klilko has to yukatangi. What has to shakate aya gach to an. And naka aya gach to eat. Ya kutsuki. The kid. Yewe ach tuatia yedat Santa Fe Chishuhan.
Sheesh.
It's cheese.
Cheese.
Cheese Connacht.
Cheese.
Cheese. Cheese.
DA Quatin.
Cheese. Tea.
Ah.
Eat some
but-
good green chili.
Oh, De Ḳukahaa we Connacht sa uncle. I already ate all so many hot things. I was like, how spicy is it? It's not bad. I took a bite. God, remember, it's just like a different universe, right? Be like asking us, how much does it rain? It rains a little bit. A little bit. 90% of the days. Chishuhan. Yes.
That's great class.
Okay.
Thank you.